Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is, frankly, a nightmare scenario for any IT pro, recovering from a full-blown ransomware attack in a hybrid cloud. But this isn't just about getting back on your feet, it's about following a playbook that actually makes you stronger than you were before.
Okay, let's just paint the picture for a second. Your servers are encrypted, your critical data is locked up, and every single minute of downtime is costing the business money, a lot of money. This isn't just some tech problem for the IT department, this is an all-hands-on-deck business crisis.
But here's the thing, a crisis like this is also a massive opportunity. We're not just going to talk about restoring a few files today. We are going to walk through a strategic response that can transform this disaster into a chance to build a fundamentally more secure and truly resilient organization for the long haul.
Look, a successful response isn't just running around with your hair on fire. It's a structured process, and it's built on 4 crystal-clear goals that are going to guide every single decision you make. First, you contain the damage. Then, you eradicate the threat. After that, you recover your services. And finally, you build lasting resilience.
Okay, let's dive right into phase 1. The attack is live, the clock is ticking, and your number one job, your only job right now, is to stop the bleeding and prevent that ransomware from spreading 1 inch further.
Now here is a super important insight for these first few hours. You cannot work sequentially. This isn't a checklist you do one by one. These are urgent, parallel actions. You've got to activate your incident response team, isolate your networks, preserve evidence, and start analyzing logs all at the same time.
And that containment has to happen everywhere, all at once. On your physical on-prem network, that means slapping on some really restrictive access control lists, or ACLs, to just block that malicious traffic. Up in your Azure cloud, you're slamming the door shut with a deny all rule using a network security group. And why both? Well, think about it. If you only plug one hole, the attacker just pivots and comes right through the hybrid connection. Now, before you rush in and start cleaning things up, stop. You have to treat this like a digital crime scene. That means you're taking memory dumps, creating snapshots of those compromised machines. This evidence is absolutely crucial for figuring out how the attackers got in and, more importantly, making sure you kick them out for good.
Okay, so you've stopped the immediate bleeding. Now you get to take a breath and shift gears. We're moving from that frantic, reactive mode to a really deliberate, methodical rebuild. And you can't just clean the old environment. You have to build a new, sterile one from the ground up.
This is a big one, and you have to get your head around it. Assume every single credential in your organization is compromised. I mean everything. Every user password, every admin account, every service account. It's all burned. That means you have to force a global password reset and revoke all active sessions. No exceptions.
You can't restore your precious data back onto a dirty battlefield, right? It'll just get infected again. That's where this idea of a clean room comes in. It's a brand new, totally isolated virtual network in Azure. Think of it like a sterile digital operating theater, where you can safely perform the recovery without any risk of reinfection.
And this brings us to a huge trap people fall into, restoring a backup that's already infected. See, ransomware can just sit there, dormant, for weeks, just waiting. That's why you need what's called a detonation chamber. It's basically a quarantine zone, an isolated sandbox where you restore your backups and scan them for anything nasty before you ever certify them as clean.
All right. Once your environment is sterile and your backups are verified clean, the order you bring things back online is absolutely critical. You don't just flip a switch, you have to start with the foundation of everything, and that's identity. A new clean domain controller comes first. Only then do you bring back databases and apps before you finally cut over DNS and bring services back to your users.
So, you're back online. The business is running again. High fives all around, right? Well, not so fast. The work is far from done. In fact, this next part is maybe the most important piece of the whole playbook. It's where you make sure this never, ever happens again.
The whole goal here is to switch to what we call a zero-trust mindset. You got to get rid of those permanent, all-powerful admin accounts, the ones attackers just drool over. The old way was giving admins the keys to the kingdom 24/7. The new way? We grant access just in time, only when it's needed, for a limited time, and for a specific reason.
Think of these controls as building layers of a fortress. You're not just relying on one wall. You're enforcing multi-factor authentication everywhere. You're setting up centralized monitoring, so you can actually see what's happening. You automate patching so you're never caught off guard, and you keep those remote access ports shut by default. And for real long-term resilience, you've got to totally overhaul your backup strategy. The new gold standard is this, the 3-2-1-1-0 rule. It means 3 total copies of your data on 2 different types of storage, with at least 1 copy off-site. Then the 2 most important parts. One of those copies has to be immutable, meaning ransomware can't touch it. And you have 0 errors when you test your recovery drills.
So let's zoom out for a second. What does all this mean? This playbook, it isn't just a checklist for a bad day. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about and operate security. This becomes your new normal.
So here's the one thing I really want you to walk away with. Success here is not measured by how fast you got your files back. The real win is when you can look back and say you eliminated the root cause and built a fundamentally tougher, more secure environment that's ready for whatever comes next.
Because look, the technology is just one part of the puzzle. You can build the strongest fortress in the world, but after all that, the final and maybe most important question is this one. Is your team ready to defend it? Because resilience isn't a project with an end date. It's an ongoing mission of training, testing, and relentless preparation.